Hey, John, how you doing, mate? You well?
Yeah, that's it, mate. I'm kind of, I'm kind of enjoying part of this sort of self-isolation bit, you know.
Mate, well, it's good to see your face, buddy. Long time no see.
And you, last time I saw you was in the middle of a desert in
Oh, mate, don't remind me. I've only just got over it. It's like I've been concentrating. I've been doing very well, John. I've been concentrating on pies, beer, and sitting on my arse.
Oh, mate.
I did not quit on that. I did very well.
It's not good enough. We got to get you back out in the desert again.
I know you will, man. You will. Well, thanks for this, buddy. I can't thank you enough. So, as I said in the intro to the video, I've known you for what, like 15 years, 16 years?
Yeah. That's right. Yeah,
and you've done some incredible things, John, and you're one of the people I've always looked up to in terms of doing extreme events, and I know you're a great life coach, and you supported some incredible companies and some incredible executives. But the purpose behind these videos was really to get an internal view of resilience on a day-to-day basis, things that Sullivan could use, things that people who might be finding it quite difficult in today's world. And I know you've done some scary stuff. You've ridden the Atlantic, and you've climbed some major mountains, and you had a very senior role in the Met, and you're a divisional commander, and you've done some incredible things, and your book is an exceptional read.
Oh, thank you.
To your Amazon account after this video, it's an exceptional book. Everybody buy John's book. It's incredible.
Fantastic.
Take away the fact that I love you and the fact I think you're a bit of a nutter. You're the most optimistic person in the world. I just wanted you to have a couple of minutes to talk about how you view resilience and how important it is potentially have a few tools in your bag that you pull out and use when times are tough and times are dark.
Sure. Yeah, I was thinking actually as you're talking, particularly when you were talking, to your son, and I was really very strongly influenced when I was young by my dad, who'd been a fighter pilot during the war, and he'd kind of he'd done a whole stack of crazy stuff. And he had a huge huge impact on me in terms of what I think the technical term is self-belief. So he taught me really, from an early age, that if you really kind of believe in something, you'll get it. And I know it sounds very hackneyed, but it had a huge influence on me in my life and what I choose to go for. And he would always encourage me to go for anything, And we're little examples. When we were on holiday, in the pouring rain, and in North Wales, as always, you're on a beach somewhere, and it'd be pissing with rain inside a beach hut, and everybody else was hiding, and he'd say, "Come on, let's go for a swim. Let's go for a swim. Let's go for it." And so I think it was kind of that really, and also what I think is the technical term is the challenge orientation. So I guess in terms of what's influenced my life is that this persistent drive to have a go at something I don't know anything about. On a kind of trivial level, whilst I've been stuck at home, I've kind of climbed up in the roof and dragged down a load of Victorian chairs to kind of redo them, rebuild them. Why? Because I don't think about that, but I just think, why not? Like, I wouldn't normally do that stuff, but that's why I do it. So, when I hear about something like someone's rowed across the Atlantic Ocean, and I'm coming up to 60 years old. I mean, bear in mind, I'm 74 now, so this was nearly 15 years ago. I remember thinking, how could anyone do that? How could that be possible? And I remember going onto a website, a kind of ocean rowing website, and pinged somebody who'd done it before. I rang this person up and said to them, how do you, I hope you don't mind me asking, how do you row across the Atlantic Ocean, And the guy said, well, you just get a boat and you row. I was going, yeah, but how do you get a boat? He said, well, you can build one. And I said, God, I'd be useless at that. The thing would sink after about 5 minutes, I'm a complete rubbish. He said, well, you can buy a second-hand one. I second-hand one. What do you mean? Well, you can rent one. I said, rent one? That sounds even more exciting. So I went to a website and I said to him, by the way, what do you do about do you have to know how to row? He said, you'll learn very quickly after a few days. You're out there for 9.5 weeks. It's like, I was going, okay. So what about navigation? You can go on a course. Okay. So I went on this website and there was ocean rowing boats. There were 2 of these boats left to rent. One was in Jersey. I remember ringing the guy up and saying to him, excuse me, is your rowing boat still available to rent for a row across the ocean next year? And he said, well, it is and it isn't, because someone's after it. I said, what do I have to do to get it? He said, send me 1,000 quid. I wired him 1,000 quid and then kind of went into the kitchen to speak to my wife. And she said, what have you been doing? I said, I just got a boat. She was going, what do you mean got a boat? I said, I'm going to row across the Atlantic. And you can imagine she wasn't that impressed. And whatever it is, I mean, like if it's going to the North Pole or if it's, the Marathon des Sables, running an assessment centre for a mate of mine who's taking some guys to the North Pole. And we were interviewing guys and trying to find out, what their potential was going to be like to deal with this kind of endurance stuff. And one of the guys, I suppose, a young city guy, he'd just come back from doing this Marathon des Sables. So I kind of said to him, what's all that about? He said, it's the toughest foot race on earth.
They all are, John. They all are.
I know. And I said to him, oh my God, how'd you do it? And he said, well, you just 6 marathons in 7 days, So I kind of went back and checked the website and, put down a few $100 quid and you got a place, And again, went back in the kitchen and said to my missus, I'm going on a run. She's like, I'm going to do a marathon. She's saying, when's the last time you did a marathon? I said, she said, it's 40 years ago. I was going, oh, well, come on, it can't be that long, maybe 35. She said, you're never going to do it. I said, I can't think I did. So I think it's the challenge orientation really is, and it's about that kind of sense that if you could get your act together, and if you could research something enough, you could do it, And I think, this is terrible, this COVID thing is having a nightmare impact on everybody. I mean, all of us, it's affected us in some way or other. It's a nightmare for businesses. And of course, for people who are in trouble with it physically, it's awful. But if you're not actually caught up in that directly, there's a hell of a lot of things you can do. There's a lot of things you can learn. And, I've learned so much, the last few weeks, because I'm constantly on webinars, and then I'm working with teams, in a way I'd never worked before, online. I mean, I'd never dreamt of doing that. So I think for us, it's about kind of when you drop in the poo, how can you get out of it? And I think I was telling earlier on when I was a young army officer, they said, this man works well in crises. The trouble is he creates most of them himself, I think my wife would agree with that, actually.
Well, I remember, John, when we were in some god-awful place and I was in a really bad way, and there was all these people that came up to me, tried to cheer me up, and I just DNF'd a race I'd trained 18 months for, and it was awful. And there was all these people going, don't worry, you'll be back, you'll be fine. And in my head, all I wanted to do was scream at the moon and tell them to Foxtrot Oscar. And then you came up, you had hidden in your bag a little satellite phone. You weren't trying to cheer me up, although you are the most optimistic person I've ever met. You took out the phone, you went, go and call your wife. It's all right to be sad. Go and speak to your boy. Go and say hello, and we'll have a beer later on. And it was that. It was not being told to get a grip. It was not being told, don't worry, it'll be fine tomorrow. It was all right to be pissed off. You're all right to be sad. But we're in it together, and tomorrow's another fight. And that for me will stay with me forever, buddy.
Mate, I think it's great. And, it's very hard to control our emotions, when we're in these bad situations. I mean, Can you imagine 9.5 weeks in the middle of the Atlantic, one other guy in a rowing boat that's 30 foot long, and you got nobody else there, And someone said to me, just be careful. Well, the most dangerous thing in the Atlantic isn't the whales or the storm. It's the guy with you, because at some stage you want to kill you, and you want to kill him. You're kind of thinking, my God,
Yeah.
And I think, look, it's about being able to control emotions, but also when you're touching into his emotional support, and my wife's really an absolute rock to me. I mean, how the hell she put up with me over all these years, I do not know, but she's got me out of the poo so many times. When we were lost in the middle of the Atlantic, and I had to ring her up and say, help, we've gone too far south, can you have a look at the kind of the wave patterns, and,
we're in Cuba somewhere, we'll be over here.
We're heading for Venezuela,
For me, John, I think the one thing I'll always take from our friendship and from things, from reading your book and from watching all the mad things you've done in your world is it's all right to reach out, and it's all right to ask for help from friends, and it's all right to dial into somebody's energy when you're feeling low. You don't have to be. It's good to be resilient. It's good to have plans, and it's good to look for that opportunity to say what next. But it's also really good to dial into those around you and ask for help and ask for support.
Definitely. And, it's great at this time because, we've got to look out for people. I mean, I was in touch with a client yesterday who's struggling, having a really rough time, with sort of chaotic situations. It's really hard for him to predict what's going to happen, and it's easy for me. I'm not involved, so I can help him. I can help. I can mentor him. I can coach him. And I give him time for nothing, because why not? And when you see the results of this stuff, when you pick people up at a low ebb, and then you see them back on their feet, and you see them really flaring ahead and it's the most incredibly rewarding thing, I think, that we can do. And all of us have times where we're feeling kind of going over the bumps in the road and feeling rough, and me, that's why I love working with teams. I spend my life working with teams, and I just want that team to get excited. I want them to get excited about adventure. I want to get them excited about being with each other. I want to get them excited about taking risks, driving the business onto new places. That's what we could be doing, It's great.
About 150 years ago, you would have been down the South Pole with Scott, or whatever his name was, going, it's only 1,200 miles that way, boys, we'll be fine. We've got flip-flops on.
I love it. And you see, Fran, you'll have seen, there was some time ago, there was a guy who went to do a marathon in the Atlantic somewhere, and he turned up and his kit didn't turn up, and he'd only got his brogues, his wooden, his kind of leather city shoes, and whatever clothes he got on them, And he set off and he did the whole event in these city shoes.
Brilliant.
Why? Because he really was determined he was going to do it, And
Mate.
that's the thing, that life is going to be up and down, because we don't know what's going to happen with this. It's all good for me because I've got about 5 or 6 courses lined up in the autumn. I don't know whether they're going to happen or not. We got accommodation booked up in the mountains and stuff. Are we going to go there? But we just got to keep your head up and just keep hoping. And I'm sure it'll be over. It'll be over soon, and we'll be a lot better for it, I think.
Well, John, on that note, buddy, and for all who's watching this video, you want a natural Duracell battery of energy and positivity, you bloody give my mate John a call.
Oh,
things he's done and the things he's been through is just an extraordinary journey. John, I hope people who've watched this, from it, they'll all love you. I really thank you for your time, brother, and I'll see you on the other side, mate. High five.
Thank you, mate. And you.
Take care, buddy. Bye, bye, bye. Lots of love.
Bye now.